Hello, welcome to the new lecture that is bolted connection. So in this lecture, we are going to study the connections and specifically the bolted connections. So these are the content that are likely to be discussed in this lecture. So we will start our lecture with a very basic level. So first we will discuss about the types of connections, and in this lecture, I will be focusing on the bolted connections. Okay, I will cover a riveted connection to a little extent because as riveted connections are not in use nowadays, so I will be covering bolted connection only in this lecture, and in the next lecture we will see the welded connections. Then I will start the general requirements, basics of bolted connections. We will discuss the failure modes of connections, and after that, we will discuss the design aspects of the bolted connections. And once we cover it, we will try to solve some problems related to the bolted connections. Now, the first question that comes in this topic is, why do we need connections in a steel work? Well, there may be various reasons, and the major reason is that steel sections are manufactured in a standard length because of various constraints like the transportation or handling restrictions. So that is why steel sections are of standard length. So in the structural design, if we are required a steel section of length larger than the standard length, in that case we need to provide connections to join two sections, and therefore connections are the necessity to synthesize the structure and to bring the stability of the structure under different types of load. So what is the major connection design requirement? Well, the it is desirable to avoid connection failure before the member failure. Why? There are some reasons. We always want that member should fail. The ideal failure will be when member fail in spite of the connection failure, because connection failure is not as much ductile as the member failure will be. Also, to achieve the economical design, and as I said, connection failure is not ductile as that of steel member failure, and therefore it is desirable that member failure will occur first, then the connection failure. So now we have different types of fasteners that we use in the connections. First, or the traditional fastener is a riveted connection, then the bolted connections, welded connections, pinned connection. Well, in this course, I will not be covering riveted connections and pin connections in detail. Why? Because riveted connections are obsoleted, and also pin connections are also not used much in the steel work. So major fasteners that are being used in the construction nowadays are bolted connections and welded connections. So these bolted connections are basically riveted connections are basically replaced by the bolted connections. So in this lecture, I will be focusing on bolted connections. In the next lecture, we will see the welded connections. So I will discuss a little about the riveted connection. Well, rivet looks like this, and this is the part which is called head of the rivet, and this part is called the shank, and the lower part is called the tail. So there also you can see the riveted connections used, and there also riveted connections also used. So in this connection you can see this part is the head, which refers to this, and the lower part, which was tail earlier, it is splitted using the hammer or using some other methods. So in in the riveting process, what is being done is rivet is heated. And why we are heating a rivet? Because when we heat the steel, because rivets are made of mild steel, so when we heat them, then steel becomes soft, and then it becomes very easy to work with it. So basically this is the head part of the rivet, and these are the plates which are to be connected, and this is the tail part of the rivet. So this tail part is splitted, hammered using the special hammer, and it is again converted like this. So this is how this riveted connections works. Well, there are some disadvantages of riveted connections that I will be covering while comparing the advantages of bolted connections, because this rivet connections is replaced by the bolted connections. So now coming to the bolted connections. In bolted connections, two things are used. One is bolt itself, and the other thing is nut. So in the figure, you can see this whole part is the bolt, and this part is the nut. So bolts are basically of three types. One is called black bolt. This is the basic bolt. Next is turn bolt. Turn bolt, they are they are also called precision bolt or semi-precision bolt. And the other type of bolt is high strength bolt. So we will understand these three bolts one by one, and where they are applicable, where they are used, and what is their mechanism. So first, coming to the black bolt. So this is the typical figure of a bolt, and some are the dimensions which are being given here. So in the bolt, we see there are some threaded part. So this threaded part, this is the threaded length, and this part is the shank where there is no thread. And this is the bolt head, and this bolt can be hexagonal or in the square shape, but most of the time in the structural work we use hexagonal, because it gives us I mean, it can be worked out very well as compared to the square bolt head. So this black bolt is also referred to as rough, because the surface is rough. They are unfinished, or they are not very much finished. They are primarily used in light structures under the static load. So the structures where only static load will come, these type of bolts are used, because these types of bolts are not fit well for the dynamic load. So basically there are load, static and dynamic. Well, static load is a load which generally doesn't change with the passage of time, but dynamic load are very dynamic in the nature, and their magnitude is not it is not certain. The magnitude of this load is uncertain, like the earthquake load. Earthquake load is considered under the category of dynamic load, because earthquake magnitude is not certain. Similarly, the wind load, they are also considered as the dynamic load. Static load can be like dead load of the structure, so that load will be considered as dead static load. So this bolt is generally used in the structures where static load is primarily acting on the structures. So they may be used in the truss connections, or the purlin, or the girts, or the bracing connection. Similarly, some platform covering. So in the railway stations, you may see some platform covering where steel sections connections are used using the bolt. And as I said, they are not recommended for in the place where the structures are subjected to the impact load or the dynamic load. Dynamic load may be a vibratory load. So where there is a possibility of vibrations, they are also these kind of bolts are not used. Then coming to the turn bolt. Well, Turn bolt are also a type of black bolt, but the only difference is that their finishing quality is better than the black bolt, and the tolerance limit in these bolts are less as compared to the black bolt, and they are used in some specific purpose where uh, the alignment requirement is like in case of machine design. So in machine we need a very low tolerance, so in such scenario we can use these type of bolt. So as here mentioned, they are used only in special jobs, like in case of machines, or to some extent they are they can also be used in case of dynamic loads. Then coming to the next type of bolt, which is high strength bolt. They are also sometimes abbreviated as HSFG bolt. HSFG means high strength friction grip bolt. So as the name suggests, friction grip, yes, they support the load using the frictional resistance. Well, they are the recent development, and these bolts are made of high strength steel, while the black bolt or the turn fit bolt, they are made of mild steel, but these high strength bolt, they are manufactured using the high strength steel, which means the strength of these bolts are higher than the black bolt, and their surface is kept unfinished primarily because of the, I mean, to develop the frictional resistance, they are being uh, kept unfinished. In this bolt, some special techniques are used for tightening the nuts to induce the specified initial tension. There in the figure you can see uh, these are the plates, and in between the plates the development of friction is created by inducing the pre-tension in the bolt. So like this bolt is tightened to a level which is called proof load. So these bolts have their definite strength. So like ultimate strength of this bolt may be Fu. So proof load will be about 70 to 80% of the ultimate strength of the bolt. So up to that strength, the load is, I mean, they are clamped to that much load. And because of that clamping force, the friction between the surface of the plates are developed, and this frictional resistance is so high that there will be no slip. The surface will not slip. So the load will be carried by the frictional resistance which will develop between these surface and these surface. So this is called the washer. So this washer is also used in this bolt to spread the load uniformly. So as I said, due to this friction, the slip in this in the joint, which is associated with the black bolt, is eliminated. Well, the major difference between the black bolt and the high strength friction grip is that black bolt are of bearing type. Bearing type means in the black bolt, there you can see there is a small gap between the bolt shank and the hole of the plate. So this small gap is left between them so that the bolt can be inserted easily. So in the black bolt, the slip will occur when the load will try to push the plate. So once the slip occur, then there will be a bearing load transfer mechanism. But in case of high strength friction grip, there you can see the gap. This gap will be maintained. Why? Because there will be no slip, and load will be transferred using this frictional resistance only. So that is why this type of this type of bolt is also called the rigid bolt, because there is no movement, there is no slip between the joint. And some special methods are used to tighten the bolt, some calibrated wrenches are used to induce the uh, this pretension. So basically, this bolt is tightened to that extent that this pretension developed in the bolt, and this friction will develop between the surface of the plates. Now coming to the advantages of bolt connections. Well, we will see the advantages of bolt connections when comparing with the riveted connections. So first we will see the advantages of black bolt. In the black bolt or bolted connections, use of unskilled labor can be done, while in case of riveted connections, as it involves the heating and some special method, the skilled labor is required, while in case of black bolt, bolt connections, unskilled labor can also be used. Bolting operations are noiseless, they are quick fabrication, while in case of riveted connections, the process is long, because in that that process is time consuming, because most of the time is used to heat the rivet. But in case of bolted connections, no such things is done, and that is why it is being said that it is quick fabrication and it is noiseless. Noiseless is also called because in the rivet, hammering is done, and because of that hammering, the sound produces. So that is why their noise creates while riveting is done. But in case of bolting, there is no hammering done, so that is why this is noiseless. No special equipment or process needed for the installation, so that is also a advantage of bolted connection. Fast progress of work, and it also accommodate minor discrepancy in the dimensions. So yes, in the bolted connections, specifically the bolted black bolt, some tolerance limit can also be some tolerance are also given in this black bolt. The connection supports loads as soon as the bolts are tightened. So yes, like in the case of riveted connection, we allow the rivet to cool down, so that it may tighten the it may tighten the grip to the joint. But in case of bolted connection, such things are not done, and the load can be supported as soon as the bolted operations is done. Coming to the advantages of HSFG bolt as compared to the bolted, black bolt connections. So if we compare the advantages of HSFG bolt as compared to the black bolt, they can be, these bolts do not allow any slip, as I have already mentioned. It doesn't allow any slip between the elements connected, and especially in the closed tolerance hole, and therefore they provide rigid connections. And due to the clamping action, load is transmitted by the friction only, and the bolt are not subjected to the shear and bearing. Well, the black bolt, their force transfer mechanism is different, while the force transfer mechanism of the HSFG bolt is different. In black bolt, slippage occur only after that the load, force transfer happens. But in case of HSFG, no slip occur, and force is transferred using the frictional resistance. We will discuss more about the shear and bearing aspect in the in the next slides. And as HSFG bolt are higher, they are of high strength as compared to the black bolt, the gusset plate size is reduced. Well, this gusset plate is basically a common plate on which some different members are joined. So for example, if there is a gusset plate and there is one member coming from here and one member is coming from here, so this plate becomes a common junction on which these members are joined. So these members are joined using the bolted connections. So in case of black bolt, we may require more number of bolts to join the members. But in case of high strength friction grip, as they are of high strength, in that case, like for example, consider that to join this member we are required 2 bolts. But if we use high strength friction grip bolt in place of black bolt, so there are chances we may require only 1 bolt. So if we require 1 bolt, then this size of plate will be reduced. So this plate, if the size of plate reduced, which means the steel consumption will be reduced and the structure will be economical. Deformation can also be minimized using the high strength friction grip bolt. Now coming to the types of joints that we encounter in the steel work. So majorly the joints can be classified into 2 categories. One is lap joint and the other is butt joint. So here in this figure you can see this is the lap joint. So basically what happens in this joint is 2 plates are overlapped on each other and they are then joined using the bolts. So this is called lap joint. Coming to the butt joint. In the butt joint, 2 main plates, these are the main plates or these are called the parent plate. They are connected end to end, and to join them we use extra plate which is called cover plate. So this is a joint which is called butt joint. So in butt joint we can use single cover plate or we can sometimes use double cover plate. So on the next page I will be showing you the double cover butt joint. So in this case you can see this gray, these 2 plates are the cover plate and these plates are the parent plates which are to be joined. This is again a single strap cover plate, sometimes may also be known as strap. So in this single cover plate are used and in this double cover plate are used. So obviously if we compare the joint strength if we compare the joint strength between these 2, then obviously joint strength will be higher in this plate. Similarly we can have, previous we have seen the joint with single bolt. Here in this case we can see the joint with double bolt and they are also arranged in a chain manner. So these may be 2 bolt or this is 1 row, this is second row, so this may be 3, 4, 5 rows in that manner. So this arrangement is called chain arrangement. Sometimes we also use bolt hole in zigzag manner to enhance the, I will be discussing this later, because to increase the effective area of the plate, sometimes we provide bolts in zigzag manner. So we will be discussing this more in detail in the next slides. So now coming to the basics of bolted connections. Well, in the basics, we will understand the force transfer mechanism, like how bolt connections transfer the force and what kind of force they transfer. So force transfer can be in terms of shear force, maybe in terms of tension force, bearing force. Bearing can be in the bolt shank or bearing can be in the plate. Similarly, the force may be in combination of shear and bearing, and force transfer mechanism using the friction. Well, if we classify bolt in terms of force transfer mechanism, then the bolt can be of bearing type, bolt can be of friction type. Well, in the bearing type bolt, shear force comes into this picture and bearing force comes into this picture, while in case of friction grip bolt, like I was mentioning the high strength bolt, so high strength bolt transfer force using the frictional resistance, while the black bolt they transfer the force using they transfer force in various terms, like in terms of shear, in terms of bearing, in terms of combination. They may transfer the force in combination of shear and bearing also. Similarly, uh, high strength friction grip may be subjected to tension force also. So now I can say that HSFG bolt, they may be subjected to, they are subjected to friction, and they may be subjected to the tension force, while the bearing type bolt, they may be subjected to shear, they may be subjected to tension, they may be subjected to the bearing force, and they may be subjected to the combination of these two. Okay, so now in that case, I have classified bolts in two categories on the basis of force transfer mechanism. So one is bearing type, the other is HSFG. This HSFG bolt transfer the force using the frictional resistance. If frictional resistance lost, then this HSFG bolt may be converted to the bearing type. How? That I will show you in the next diagrams. So in this diagram, you can see how the force is transferring. This is the connection. I'm showing this one, this connection. One second. Yes. So this connection, you can see, as the load is coming down here, and these are the bolts. So these bolts can be subjected to, they will be subjected to tension as well as shear as well as bearing force. How? We will see in the next slide. Well, coming to the bearing type, first I will be discussing bearing type bolt. In the bearing type bolt, like in this, you see two plates are joined, and these bolts are tightened using the nut, but the tightening is called snug tight. Well, what is the meaning of snug tight? Which means only that much tension is ensured so that the surface of the plates are in contact and they bear on each other. So they are only tightened to that extent that these two surface, these two plates are bear on each other only, which means there may not be any friction between them. It may be, but that will be negligible. Okay, and that is why when the load comes like this plate will slip like this, and this plate will slip like this. So ultimately it will impose on this much bolt, and this plate will impose on this much bolt. So I will be showing you the free body diagram of this. So yes, in bearing type, joints are generally slip because as that is the load carrying mechanism. Like I have shown you earlier also, there is a gap between the hole and the bolt. So this gap is basically slipped. When the load comes on it, it will slip, and then it will be imposed on the, the plate will be imposed on the bolt, and similarly this plate will impose on bolt on from this side. So I will be showing the free body diagram on the next slide. So yes, in this diagram, you can see this is the force transfer mechanism. And now you see when this load try to stretch this plate, so this plate is doing what? This plate will slip on to this bolt, and then it will impose the force on this bolt like this. In reply to this imposition, this bolt will also offer the reaction to this, which means this imposition will be on the plate and plate will impose on the bolt. The same process will be happening here. So this free body diagram I have shown you here. So there you can see this is the bearing on plate because of the bolt, and this blue arrow, this is the bearing on the bolt because of the plate. So now see this diagram. Half of this length is bearing and it is trying to get this bolt in this direction, while half of this length is trying to get on this length. So because of this, in between that there is a critical section that creates, and this critical section is called critical shear connection. So this bearing effect generates bearing as well as shearing effect in the bolt. So bolt may break from this position, or bolt may fail because of this bearing. So it may fail from this surface, or it may fail from this section. So now you can see there are two types of force which are being transferred using the bolt connection. One is the bearing and the other is the shearing. So bolt shank is under bearing. So again I'm showing bolt shank in bearing. So this blue arrow, you can see these blue arrow are affecting the bearing force on this bolt, while shearing effect because of this pink arrow, and this pink arrow is affected because of the bearing force on the bolt. Similarly, if we consider the friction type bolt, so as I have shown you this figure earlier also, friction develops between these plate surface and there is no slip. So force is transferred using the frictional force. This frictional resistance developed. So this force, this tension force is transferred using the frictional resistance force. Okay. So that is the major difference between the bearing type and friction type. So in friction type, there will be no bearing force, there will be no friction, shearing force. Why? Because there will be no slip. So as I have shown you in the previous diagram, this bearing and this shearing, it will happen only when there will be a slip. So this yellow line you can see here, when there will be slip, so it will try to impose on this bolt, and this bolt will try to impose on this plate. So when this yellow line will be not there, then this bearing and this shearing will develop. So this develop only after the slip, while in case of friction type, no slip will be there. Then coming to the next, which is called force transfer of tension force. Well, tension force can be transferred using HSFG bolt and using the bearing type bolt only also. Well, if we consider the fact of bearing type of bolt, in the bearing type of bolt, before the external tension force, these bolts are almost experiencing zero tension. So they will experience tension only when the external tension load will be applicable. While if we compare the same with the high strength bolt, these high strength bolt are already in the pre-tension. As I mentioned that the frictional resistance developed once the proof load on the bolt achieved. So that proof load ultimately induced the pre-tension in the bolt. So these bolts are already in the tension, and when there will be a tension force, so this tension force is compensated with this pre-tension on also. So once this tensile force increase with then this force, then only these bolts will come under the extra tension. Okay, but that condition generally doesn't occur because we do not design connections to that extent. But if the plates or the sections are ductile or they are of low strength, then sometimes because of this tension force, this kind of effect may occur, and this effect is called prying effect. So this prying effect occurs only if this section is softer or ductile or of low strength than the other plate. So this kind of action may occur, and this is called prying action. Okay. Now coming to the failure of bolted connections. Now I have just mentioned the force transfer mechanism. Now, so because of those force transferring mechanism, the failure in the bolt may occur in different aspects, like bolt may break from this part. So this breakage is called shear failure of the bolt. Similarly, the plate may fail. So this is called splitting failure. So this splitting failure may also occur because of the insufficient edge distance. So this is the edge distance. If it is insufficient, then this kind of failure may occur. So this failure is basically triggered because of the bearing failure. So first bearing will be like this, and then if the sufficient edge distance is not provided, then such kind of failure may occur. Similarly, the another failure may be bearing failure in the bolt. So this bolt, I mean, as the plate imposed on this bolt, this kind of failure may occur. Similarly, bolt may fail due to the tension. Bolt may fail due to the bending. Well, this failure occurs when this grip length, this is called grip length. When this grip length is large, in that case, bolt may bend. So this kind of failure may also occur. Similarly, tension failure in the plate. So when there are holes in the plate, so those holes makes the plate weak, and these holes are also the source of stress concentration. So the point where stress will concentrate, the failure will occur from there. So as the bolts is along this, so failure is occurring along this, like this. So here also I have explained the shear failure in more detail. Well, shear failure, in the shear failure, we may consider the critical section. I mean, if we are using the lap joint, there will be only one critical shear plane. But if we use the butt joint, there may be two critical shear failure. One between these 2 points and the other between these two plates. I mean, not points, these two plates. So this pink arrow is showing the shearing effect. So in case of double cover plate, there will be two shear plane, and the critical shear in the butt joint with a double cover butt plate, double cover plate butt joint, it will be having two shear plane, while in case of lap joint, it will be only one shear plane. So in the design also, we consider this aspect, whether our joint is in single shear or in double shear. So that is again a very important thing that we consider while designing the joints. Bearing failure, as I mentioned, bearing failure may be on the bolt or maybe on the plates. Generally in the bolts, it doesn't occur because bolts are of higher strength than the plate. So generally in the plate, bearing may occur. And because of this bearing, the bolt hole may be large, and as this bolt hole becomes large, then there will be more slippage and the effectiveness of the joint will be lower, and it means the strength of this joint will be lower. Now coming to the general requirements of the bolt. So in the bolts, there are some things that we consider. So these are sizes. Now size can be in terms of the diameter. Diameter can be the nominal dia, can be the gross diameter of the thread, can be the root diameter of the thread. Well, if I show you all these three in the diagram, then I will say that this one is the nominal dia of the shank. Similarly, in the thread, the lower part of the thread, this is the D root. So this point is called the root. Similarly, the outermost part, this one and this one, this will be the gross diameter of the thread. So this will be D gross. Well, in calculation, most of the time we use this dia. We do not use D root or D gross. So in the most of the problem, we will be given the dia of the bolt in terms of the shank dia. In the plates, we drill the holes so that we can accommodate the bolts. So these holes can be of various types, like they may be in terms of standard, it may be oversized, it may be slotted, short slotted, or long slotted. Well, in the case of black bolt or bearing type of bolt, only generally in most of the time we use this standard hole. In case of friction bolt, friction strength bolt, we can provide larger hole to accommodate the hole uh, effectively. So for the construction accommodation, sometimes we make those bolt hole large, so that may be slotted, long slotted hole. Okay, so these holes are generally used in case of HSFG bolt, while in case of black bolt or bearing type bolt, generally we use this standard type of hole. So in this diagram, you can see the size of hole is given for the 16 mm dia bolt. So this 16 mm dia bolt, for this bolt, standard size will be 18, oversize will be 20, which means the dia of hole will be 4 mm larger. Similarly, the short slotted, it will be more than it will be about 6 mm, and long slotted may be higher. It may be more than it may be about 40 mm. So these slotted are used mostly in case of HSFG bolt, while in case of bearing type bolt, we use generally these type of hole, which is called standard hole. So generally these holes are larger in size as compared to the size of the bolt, because so that the bolts can be easily accommodated in between through these holes. Then coming to the next arrangement, which is called the spacing of the bolt holes. How much spacing should be there? So as per IS code, there are specifications of the spacing, minimum spacing between the bolts and maximum spacing between the bolts. So there is a term that we generally use in place of spacing, which is called pitch. Well, pitch can be defined as the center to center distance between individual bolts or fasteners in a line in the direction of load or stress. So this is called pitch. So now I will show you that using the diagram. So it says the center to center distance between these two bolts. So this distance is measured along the direction of the load. So when this distance is measured along the direction of the load, then it will be termed as pitch. And if we measure the distance in the direction perpendicular to the direction of the load, then it will be known as gauge. It will be known as gauge distance. Okay. Similarly, there are some other terms also that we use: edge distance and the end distance. Okay. As I mentioned you earlier, sometimes we provide we provide bolts in staggered manner. So in that case, we can measure pitch like this. So this pitch becomes staggered pitch. So this pitch, generally we provide staggered bolt so that uh, the strength of plate may not be affected. As we know that if we make the hole in the plate, then the strength of the whole plate will be decreased because the area is decreased because of the hole. So if the same hole is here, then what will happen when the load will be like this? Then there are chances that plate will be breaking from here. So to avoid that, what we have done is we have replaced this bolt from here. So now the failure path increased, which means the possibility of failure of the plate is also increased. Decreased. So now there are requirements of the spacing. So minimum spacing or minimum pitch as per IS code is 2.5 times of D. Well, this D is the dia of the bolt, nominal dia of the bolt. So this D is basically the dia of shank of the bolt. There are limit of maximum pitch also. In general, maximum pitch is minimum of 32 times of T or 300 mm. Here the T is thickness of plate. If we are using connections in tension members, in that case this decreased and this comes to this value. Similarly, in case of compression, this value further decrease. So these are the things that we are about to take care of. Similarly, we have specifications for the edge distance, as I mentioned in the earlier while I was discussing the modes of failure of the rivet, the bolts. So if we do not provide this sufficient distance, then there may be a failure called splitting failure or the shear failure. So for that, we need to provide minimum edge distance. So minimum edge distance generally is 1.7 D times of D. D is again the nominal dia of the bolt. So this 1.7 times of D is provided when the plates are cut using the sheared or hand flame. When the holes are hand flame or the sheared cut. When the holes are drilled using this method, generally I will say when we cut hole in a roughly manner, then the strength, the edge distance is increased. If the bolts are drilled, the holes are drilled in the plates in a sophisticated manner using the machine flame or using the planed edges. In that case, the minimum edge distance may be decreased. But most of the time, as on the on-site work, this much distance is desirable. And we provide edge distance, as I mentioned, to avoid the splitting failure or to prevent the end rupture. So splitting failure may also be termed as end rupture. Maximum edge distance, earlier we have seen the minimum limit, now we see the maximum edge distance limit. Well, maximum edge distance can be up to 12 times of T into epsilon. This maximum edge distance sometimes may be provided to prevent the local buckling. There are new terms. Well, these new terms will be discussed when the concerned topic will come. So this local buckling can be, for example, there is a member. So if this member bend like this, which means the whole member is bending. But if this member is bending from a particular place, so this bending becomes buckling, local buckling or local bending. Okay, So to prevent that, sometimes we provide maximum edge distance. So why we provide that? So that is the reason of that. So this epsilon can be calculated using this formula. Most of the time, we use the same grade of plate. So like we use mild steel plate, and mild steel plate has Fy value of 250. So if we are using mild steel plate, then we will replace Fy with 250, and then this value, this whole value will become 1. So this value may differ if we use plate of different grade. In this, T is the thickness of the thinner outer plate. So as per IS code, I have shown you a table with detail of some bolts. Generally in practice, bolts of this size 16, 18, 20 and 24. So these size are generally used in normal steel works. So our focus will be mainly on these bolt size, and there you can see the how this hole size increases. If the dia of bolt is 12 mm, then we can add 1 mm to get the dia of the hole. So particularly I will say, if the dia of bolt is less than 16 mm, then we add 1 mm to get the diameter of the hole. If the value is value of dia of bolt is from 16 to 22, then we will add 2 mm to get the dia of the hole. Similarly, if it is more than 24, sorry, up to 16, up 16 to 24, we can add 2 mm. Above 24 mm, we add 3 mm. So if there is a bolt of size 26 mm or 27 mm, in that we will add 3 mm. Okay, so this is what is mentioned in the IS code. Similarly, for the same dia of bolt, the minimum edge distance can be 22 in case of sheared or rough edge, or 19 in case of the sawn or rolled or plain edge. Okay, so most of the time we will use this edge distance, and these bolts are generally used in the in practice. So in the next part, I will be discussing the design aspect of the bolt connections. Thank you.